Did you have an imaginary friend growing up? Some believe those friends are actually ghosts. Listen to this story. While babysitting his niece one night, a guy drifted off to sleep while studying and watching her from the baby camera monitor. He was suddenly awakened by the sound of whispering coming from the baby monitor. He looked and saw it. On the monitor showed a dark figure in the corner of his niece's room near her crib. Terrified, he ran into his niece's room, didn't see the shadow figure, but grabbed her and ran back into the living room. Eerily, when his brother returned later that night, he asked him not to tell his wife, but said he too had seen that same shadow figure and heard whispers near the crib. They continued to live in that house for another 4 years, and that little girl frequently talked about her special friend. I had an imaginary friend growing up, and now I'm really wondering. What about you? What are your thoughts?
So this person means the dancing Serbian lady. So let's talk about the dancing Serbian lady. A few years ago, this myth arose on the internet. There's a lady in Serbia that dances on the streets, and if you get close to her, she will threaten you. She'll usually take out a knife and threaten you and chase you down. A lot of these claims were brushed under the rug because nobody really had proof until recently. They actually have a video of the dancing Serbian lady on the news in Serbia. At the end of the video, it is a little creepy too because she's walking towards the camera. If you're in Serbia and you see this lady on the street, do not get near her. It might just be your last day on Earth. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. And if you're from Serbia, let me know if you've heard about this legend before.
This paranormal story made my skin crawl. A Reddit user who we'll call Emily had just moved to a brand new apartment in Melbourne, Australia. Now, it was Emily's first time living alone, and the apartments that she moved into were built in the 1930s. And well, according to her story, she goes to work one day, and when she comes home, she goes into the bathroom and sees something strange. A board that had been covering a hole leading to an attic space on the ceiling had fallen to the ground and split in two. Well, Emily picks up the two pieces of the board, and the board's like an inch thick. It would have taken like Bruce Lee level force to break this board. So Emily slowly looks up at this attic space that's now exposed, and she is suddenly frozen stiff with fear. And she's thinking, somebody's got to be up there. But then it occurred to Emily, you know what, maybe my landlord just sent somebody to do some work while I was gone. So she emails her landlord, a little bit annoyed, to ask if anybody had been in her apartment. Pretty quickly, Emily gets an email response from her landlord that just says, please call me as soon as you can. So Emily calls her landlord, the landlord answers, and Emily explains the situation, and Emily's landlord goes, oh, it happened to you too. Apparently this had happened to 2 tenants before Emily, and the landlord promised to replace the board. About a month later, Emily wakes up around 4 a.m. and her skin is crawling with goosebumps, and she says it felt like somebody was rubbing their hands all over her. And as she's laying there, like experiencing this sensation, everything is dead silent until all of a sudden she hears this sound above her head, and she describes it as sounding like somebody's dragging a sack of potatoes on the floor above her. At this point, Emily's really starting to freak out because this sound doesn't sound like an animal. After about 5 minutes, Emily grabs a cricket bat, gathers her courage, and creeps down the hall to the bathroom where she looks and finds that that board that the landlord had replaced was again in the floor and broken into. Emily had a sick feeling come over her, and all of a sudden the dragging sound stops, but a new sound begins. It was a whispering sound, and she said it was clear as day coming from the attic. And it sounded like children's voices, and there was one voice saying over and over, it's your turn, it's your turn. So Emily dashes out of the bathroom and she flips on every light in the house, just trying to get something to feel normal. She even goes into the living room, turns on the TV, sits down, and tries to calm herself down when suddenly a fuse blows, and her pet bird all of a sudden starts squawking its head off like it's being strangled. This becomes the breaking point. Emily says, screw the bird. She grabs her car keys, runs out of the house, and closes herself in her car until morning. Finally, when the sun comes up, she sees people start going to work, walking their dogs, and she starts to feel a little safe again. And so she gets out of her car, goes back into her house to check things out. She goes to check on her bird. The bird is not in its cage. She finds her bird half drowned in the toilet. She moves out of that apartment and never looks back.
This is the terrifying story about the Bunny Man. In 1902, a bus carrying mental patients crashed. All the inmates were recaptured except one man named Douglas Griffin. He was said to be extremely obsessed with rabbits, and in the coming weeks, rabbit corpses were found all over town. His thirst for blood did not stop as he then put on an Easter Bunny costume and interacted with kids in the local town. And after finding out where they lived, he would then break into their house and murder their parents with an axe, and then kidnap the children after. People then started reporting sightings of him under a bridge, and one night he was hit by a train and killed after trying to escape. However, to this day, people still report sightings of seeing a man dressed up in a bunny outfit, holding an axe under the bridge. And it is said if he makes eye contact with you, you are not getting out of there alive.
So guys, I be having like sleep paralysis, and I be seeing demons, and I be fighting demons. So what's it called? I mean, my homeboy was like, record yourself while you sleep, so people can actually believe you that you be fighting demons. And I'm finna what's called do that.
Could this be a real Bigfoot caught on camera? All this technology and we still can't get a clear shot and non-shaky footage. Come on, guys. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, follow me on YouTube for more random, spooky, funny stuff.
This is why your face looks different when you wake up in the morning. Okay, so we all definitely woke up in the morning and looked in the mirror and thought, why do we look so gross or different? Well, there's actually an explanation for why this happens. And it's kind of crazy. You see, during the days you're upright, the dermal fluid, which is the liquid that bathes the tissue just underneath the surface of the skin, actually moves towards your legs, but overnight when your body is horizontal during sleep, the dermal fluid settles back. This then swells up your facial skin, giving you that morning face that you most definitely hate.
A Reddit user posted the following strange video to the internet that seems to capture something completely bizarre outside of his father's workplace on a trail camera that was posted right up by the woods. The footage initially appears to be relatively normal, showing a wooded path, but it doesn't take long for this ordinary video to take a seriously strange and eerie turn. As you can see, a strange apparition, or perhaps even two apparitions, can be seen walking down the path directly in front of the trail camera. The creature is seen walking in a very unsettling manner. Commenters have been debating, and they haven't been able to come up with a logical explanation.
These are the scariest things found at the bottom of lakes, part 1. Up first, at the bottom of Lake Michigan, there's an 11-foot life-size statue of crucified Jesus. The statue is made in Italy in 1956 after being requested by a family who lost their 15-year-old son. The cross was then damaged on its way from Italy to the US, so they had a dive team lower it into Lake Michigan. Next up are World War II bombs. In 1988, Navy divers discovered a live 100-pound World War II bomb in Lake Washington, and to this day, no one really knows how it got there. But what makes this extremely crazy is that these could have blown up at any time. Finally is a missing leg, or a missing prosthetic leg. Two men saw the leg sticking out of Beaver Dam, and they honestly thought it was a dead body. But the leg belonged to a man named Mark Warner, and the two men brought it back to him successfully.
You're alone, it's the middle of the night, and you're in a hotel. Then this happens. So what's your next move?
These are crazy things happening you haven't heard of, part 1. Okay, so NASA found an Earth-sized planet called TOI 700e and they think it could be habitable. The planet is likely rocky and 95% of the size of our world. This is actually amazing news, and just imagine there's life there. Next up, there's been a massive breakthrough in the cure for cancer. A new drug being tested for colorectal cancer has left doctors stunned after it returned a 100% success rate in clinical trials. This is the first time this has ever happened in the history of cancer, leading many people to get hopeful that there might be a cure for cancer soon. Finally, the US government has revealed that US troops reported 366 UFO sightings in the span of March 2021 to August 2022. Researchers believe there are more sightings due to the fact that people are more focused on the topic. But what do you think? Do you think aliens are real?
Normal-looking photos that have a disturbing backstory, part 27. This photo shows an elderly couple doing the hokey pokey with a man named Dennis Rader, also known as the BTK Killer. He installed alarms for a living, and ironically, many clients booked his services to prevent him from entering their homes. This photo shows Luchadora Juana Barraza. She was sold to a man for 3 beers by her mother until her stepdad found her at age 17. Over the years that followed, she would strangle and rob over 45 old women that reminded her of her abusive mom. The man in the background is Christopher Wilde, aka the Beauty Queen Killer. This picture was taken on June 15th, 1984, and Chris is scouting future victims at a beauty pageant. This photo shows John Edward Robinson holding a baby girl named Tiffany. Just one day before this photo was taken, he murdered the baby's mother and gave Tiffany to his brother, saying that she was adopted. His brother, along with Tiffany, didn't find out the truth for 15 years.